All right, welcome everybody to episode 13 of Beyond the Physique podcast. Today I have a guest with me, Shanna Myers. Thank you, Shanna, for being here. Shanna is a client of mine. We've worked together for just under 2 years. 2 years coming up in December, so like next month. Yeah, time flies. So before we started together, she was well on her way. You were already doing the thing. You were already eating. You were training. You knew how to track your macros, but you didn't exactly have a specific plan to follow, and you didn't really have like a phased approach. So those are some things that we were able to improve and keep you going. So you were seeing progress then, but there was plenty to improve, and we've definitely seen a lot of improvement since. So can you give us a little bit of background on like what got you interested into changing your health? And getting into the gym, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I've always been like interested in like the fitness world, but I never really had the discipline to follow through. And I kind of feel like I always like tell people when they ask me, I attribute that to like finding my reason why. You know what I mean? I feel like that was so important for me, and then that helped me really stick to it. But really what got me started after I had my daughter, it was like a year or two after that, I was at like a family get together and we took like this picture. And I will never forget this picture. It's forever burned in my mind. And I was like, that is absolutely horrible. Like, I just could not believe I let myself like get to that kind of a point.
Yeah.
So, and then it kind of was like a sequence of events, because shortly after that, I went to a doctor's appointment and just like a routine checkup. And he took my blood pressure, and like he was like, if you keep on the path that you're on, like based off your weight, and I think my blood pressure was like almost in the 140s over 90. So he was like, if you keep going on this path, like you're going to end up on blood pressure medication. I was like, I absolutely don't want that. Heart problems run crazy in our family, so on my dad's side.
Okay.
And that's something I didn't want.
Yeah, so you kind of saw the path that you were on and wanted to self-correct before it.
That's
terrifying. I think a lot of people see themselves going in the wrong direction, but they lack like the discipline or really, like you said, the reason why to change. Like, for myself, I'm a recovered alcoholic, and until my why was bigger than my why not, you know what I mean? Like, even though you could recognize that that's probably not good, but until I had a reason why that was big enough, it definitely, so I can resonate with that.
Yeah.
So it's also really cool to me that your daughter Hanley is like a catalyst for change, and not an example or like a excuse or like a reason why. You know what I mean? Like that perspective is pretty rare. You know, that's super cool to me.
Yeah.
So
My best little friend.
So as a single mom, like how do you find the motivation to prioritize your health and fitness?
So it's important to me that I set a better example for my daughter. So like that is my main motivation. Like I grew up in like with my dad, and he smoked multiple packs of cigarettes in the house a day. He ate like shit, and he drank a lot every day. So like those were all things that like I didn't want Hanley to like be exposed to. So that really like motivates me to just like, I don't know, to just like keep going.
Yeah,
you know,
to be the example. So you look at your daughter as like an opportunity to be a good example, not as like an extra responsibility that makes it harder.
Right.
And I think the mindset there is what allows you to make it through all the little trials and tribulations that come up of life, you know? Because no matter who you are, life's going to throw you some curveballs. And you've definitely been able to stay on track through all those. And I think your reason why there and being the example has been awesome for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to like 2 years ago. What were you looking for? Like, what motivated you to seek assistance when you were already like on the way yourself? So
I really feel like for me, I had like my reason why. Like I knew like I had an idea of like what I wanted like my end goal to be, you know what I mean? But I didn't have the proper knowledge. Like I took it as far as I could take it on my own. And
Yeah.
then I really noticed like I kind of started to like plateau out because like you like with us we have like phases, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that stuff I don't know nothing about, you know what I
Right.
mean? And someone to like change my macros and like do those things, I don't know how to do that. So that was like really that
Yeah.
I needed that.
And so it was like just recognizing that there was another step.
Mm-hmm.
So something that I think men deal with is a little bit of pridefulness that gets in the way of looking for assistance.
Yes.
And just because you do know how to do it doesn't mean that you're going to take the most objective look. Like, I think a lot of people look at fitness coaching as like, well, I know how to do that. I just eat less and exercise more. But yes, but also like having someone looking at it objectively, like calculating all the things you have going on in your life and looking at you like, no, maybe you need to actually take this week off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe, no, we do need to pull the carbs. You know, sorry. But
Yeah.
having that objective look definitely helps. I think that you taking an honest look at yourself and saying that I have room to improve is awesome.
Yes.
Because you didn't let pride get in the way.
Yeah. Oh no, I can't. Yeah. My like, especially for like the body composition that like I wanted, it was like, I don't know how to get there, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So what specifically were you looking with, or was it more of like, were you looking for specific things in coaching, or were you looking for somebody just like to help you with whatever the next thing looked like?
I mean, I really feel like for me, a big thing, especially when I started like 2 years ago, was like with you, was like I didn't want somebody that did the fad diet stuff. Like that stuff stresses me out. Like when I hear people like doing like keto and like all that, I don't know, that stuff. I was like, I want a coach that like doesn't do those kinds of things. You know what I mean? So, this is kind of funny, but for some reason I always thought that coaches yelled at their clients.
There's some that do. There's some that like...
Well, thank you for not yelling at me.
Yeah. I don't find it to be productive.
No, I was like,
I look at this different. So there's some coaches out there that like really do. And I will say that if you're a client of mine and I have kind of dropped the hammer on you, I do recognize I have done that and I will do that at certain times.
Yeah.
But you hired me to help you reach a goal, right? So like that's my job. It's not my job to, you know, like if you had a slip up, like...
Yeah, like put me in place, you know what I mean? Like I definitely...
Yeah, but I definitely don't look at people as like, I don't know, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to yell at you.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, so I appreciate that. And just having someone that like the personalities can kind of jive too.
That's so important.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches and clients don't work together, not because the coach isn't a good coach or the client's not a good client, just the dynamic doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like I've worked with a couple of coaches before that I just, like the personality wasn't there, you know, and that has to be there.
I agree, 100%.
Okay, so since you've been working with me, what is something that I've been able to help you with like the most?
So I feel like you do a really good job of like giving me the tools that I need, but then you also take a step back and trust that like I'm going to like make things happen. Like I feel like for me personally, like I am a very self-driven person and I don't like to be hovered over. So like the fact that like you like our specific coaching relationship, like you're able to like give me that, and then you know we check in and touch base and all that stuff. Also when I send like form videos, like you have no idea like how much I'm like appreciate those, like because you give me positives and negatives, so it's like, okay, you did this good, but if you just do this thing it'll make it better. So then the following week when I do it, I'm like, oh, like yeah, it makes sense, and I feel it like, you know, where I'm supposed to or wherever. So
from my perspective, I never want to feel stupid when I'm sending a video.
Yeah.
Because you are where you are in your fitness journey, if that's like the first time you've ever squatted or like 5 years into it, no matter what video a good coach looks at, there's going to be issues that need corrected. You know what I mean? You can look at the world's strongest man, and like every coach should look at that and find something that needs to be corrected. But at the same time, you have to recognize the progress that's there. So my job is not to sit here and like destroy you and be like, no, that was the worst hip thrust I've ever seen in my life. You kidding? You know what I mean? Like, what is that going to do? But and that also comes from a place of like you put intent in your execution. So like I know that the effort's there and that you're genuinely trying to execute things properly. Like when I specify tempo and then immediately the next video adjusts with the tempo, or like that goes a long way from my end, because that means that you're taking the things that I say and running with it. So that means I can say less.
Okay.
You know, like there's types of clients where I have to sit here and like I have to tell them to eat protein like 4 times a day, like for a full month. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe that'll get it in their head.
Yeah.
Where you're like the type of client where I'm like, okay, let's put toes out just slightly and try to screw your heels in and see what that does.
Yeah.
And that's all you need, and you're going to take that and do a lot with that.
Yeah.
And I jive well with that personality most personally. Because you're going to take it and try it and learn for yourself, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and there's definitely clients that I hover over more, but when I see things are just getting checked off, and that's the way I think it works best, is like, here's your list of shit to do for the week, get it done, let me know when you need help with, and then we'll adjust next week.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is a testament to your long-term mindset too, because the people that need adjustments between Monday and Tuesday are trying to see their abs by Thursday. You know what I mean?
I wish it worked like that.
Yeah, it sure doesn't.
It's not, though. It takes a long time.
Okay, so I'm done like blowing up my own head here. What can I do better with? Like, how could I help you more?
So I really like sat and like thought about this for a really long time last night, and Trevor, honestly, I can't think of anything. Like, I'm being genuine. I'm not just saying that. Like, I think that you do a great job, you know? So on my end, I'm perfectly
From my
satisfied.
perspective, I think I could keep adding more education on what we're doing. So
that's interesting, because you put out a ton of educational like information, so it's interesting.
That's my thing. I just want you to know. I just want you to know why.
Why? Yes. Yes, that helps me a lot too. Like you do that in the form videos too. You'll be like, you know, this affects this muscle, and like you're like breaking it all down. So that helps a lot too.
Yeah, I don't do well with like, go stack this firewood over there.
Yeah.
I do well with, if this firewood stacked over there, we'll have wood to put in the fire in a warm house.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, I'll have the greatest stack ever now. See the full, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you tell me to just go stack firewood, I'm going to be pissed. You know what I mean?
Like, what do you
I
mean?
need to
Why?
understand what's going on. Okay. So tailoring fitness for parenthood. So a lot of people use being a parent as an excuse. I fortunately have a roster full of people that see it as an opportunity. Like Jason, who just competed and won the novice overall. Like
Congratulations to him too.
He's got 2 teenage girls, a wife, full-time job, full-time student. You know what I mean? Like I love this shit. I love being around people like this. So, what we did basically to tailor your programs, we're on like a 3-day lifting program and cardio up to 2 days a week, sometimes maybe 3 if we're cutting, and then just keeping steps controlled. So what does your planning process look like on the back end, like to meet all the demands of your life? So like there's no way you could do everything that you do in a day without some kind of planning. So walk me through what that looks like.
So really what I do Sunday nights, like I have like a planner, and I sit down and I look at like what I have coming up that week, you know what I mean? Like appointments, like other things I've got to like take care of, like errands, stuff that Hanley needs and stuff. And then I plan my workouts around what I have going on. Things do come up, like kids get sick and stuff like that. So if there's like an instant like that, I try to like see if I can like shift things around, and you know, I really feel like it comes down to like what's important to you, and if it's important, you're going to make it happen, you know. So I don't know. It really helps to sit down on Sunday and like just see what I have going on, because then I can be like, okay, I have time here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It helps me a lot.
What does your food preparation process look like? Because you hit your macros and have hit your macros for like 2 years straight.
Yeah.
And I can't even get you to eat like a cheat meal sometimes. So how do you make that happen?
So, I usually will pick like a protein or something to prep and like have for the week. That way I can just kind of have it ready to go, and then like a starch or something. But I do also thrive every now and then with like going in the kitchen and just kind of experimenting, because along with working out, like cooking also kind of helps me escape everything I have going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So really it boils down to like definitely like meal prepping. For me, it's meal prepping those proteins that take the most amount of time.
Yeah.
So crock pot is my best friend. I love the crock pot.
Cook the protein in bulk.
Yes.
Yeah, the crock pot is awesome. It's wintertime. It's about to be So we have a thing where it's like the crock pot in the wintertime and the Blackstone in the summertime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you guys, I seen some of the reels that you did or whatever, like your chicken.
Yeah, I'm not messing around. I'll cook like...
Oh my God, I was like, that shit looks so good.
Yeah, we basically make hibachi at home with the G Hughes sugar-free. So we just make jasmine rice and the G Hughes sugar-free teriyaki, and cook the chicken and the rice with that, and then you can cook the shrimp and steak, whatever else with it. And it's basically just chicken, rice, steak.
But it looks a lot more fancy.
Yeah, but it looks fancy. I actually like serve that to my family sometimes, and they get all excited about it. And I'm like, see, look, you don't have to eat like an asshole.
Yeah,
you know?
you don't have to eat like...
Yeah, that's... Anyways.
I love it.
Okay, what advice do you have for other parents looking to incorporate some things into their life?
So, I really feel like finding your why is going to be the most important thing. You got to figure out why you want what, you know what I mean, how to get to your goals. Like, why do I want that?
Yeah.
I honestly, I'll die on that hill. I feel like that is going to be your biggest thing, because then you'll figure everything else will fall into line as to like how you're going to make that happen.
I feel like clients think I'm giving them a cop-out answer when I tell them that, like, truly once it's important to you, you will find out how.
Yes.
And
it sounds cliche, but it is 1000% the truth.
Yeah, and it's something that anybody that I've talked to who has achieved anything large, whether it's like a fitness goal or grown a business, like, or raised a family, their why is always big enough to determine the how. So,
yeah, definitely.
Ultimately, wanting to be an example for your kids, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't have kids yet, but that I can't wait for that to be the example there.
Yeah. My daughter like looks up to me a lot in like that regard.
That's super cool. And her growing up in a household where it's normal to like eat the majority of your food is like whole food sources and prepared at home, and those are things that she can take into her future, like adulthood, is like normal, you know. And then seeing her friends maybe in college when they go through the drive-through every meal, you're like, maybe that's not a good idea because that seems weird, you know.
Yeah, like that's going to make my belly hurt.
Yeah, right. And having that's going to make my belly hurt feeling versus, ooh, I don't know, that's going to make me fat is like a healthy thing too, you know? Because I think a lot of kids they're too young to articulate like body composition, feelings that they have about their body composition, but it's still there. Because I remember being super young and being like, I don't know, like I shouldn't eat so much because I'm getting kind of chunky compared to like my 9-year-old friend over here who has like just looks skinny, you know. But I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'm kind of fat, and I just remember like having those feelings, but my family had no clue what to do nutritionally, like at all. Like, you're going to eat more chicken? Like, that shit's expensive, boy. Like, well, yeah. Yes.
But it's also going to keep you fuller longer, and it'll keep you healthy, and it's good for you, so.
Yeah. Anyways, just having that example as a household is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things from my perspective that are attributing to your success is that you consistently check off all the important parts of your protocol. So you prioritize really, really well. So any mistakes you might be on the small end because you're going to hit your protein, you're going to hit your total calories. If you end up at an event where your food basically ends up out of your control, you'll still end up within calories and you'll still end up close on protein. Your cardio gets done, your training gets done. Just week to week, like you're checking the boxes. And that is something that you just have to do. And you make the shit happen. And that's impressive because there's a lot of people that let things happen and then they fall off track and then it's kind of game over.
Yeah.
You're improvement focused. So like each mistake, you don't look at it as a mistake. You look at it as a learning opportunity for the next time this happens. Because you're not going to nail every opportunity that happens in life the first time. But like the second time it happens, you're prepared for it. Like no matter what it is. So you learn a lot on how to handle situations. So you don't sit there and wallow in like your own self-pity of like, oh my God, I didn't have access to protein today and it wasn't my fault. Like, fuck it. Tomorrow I'll hit it, back on, nail it. And that comes down to you never quitting either. And I think that's your why, you know what I mean? Your why is big enough that you just, I made a mistake. We'll just get back on it.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I feel like I'm sitting here like harping on your mistakes, acting like you make a lot of mistakes, but you don't. You don't make a lot of mistakes, honestly. But the difference between somebody who does this long term successfully and not is how you handle those mistakes because everybody is going to mess up.
Yeah.
And you err in favor of the phase that we're in too. So that's another thing to mention. So like if we're in a body fat reduction phase, you'll get your protein in, but you might be a little bit short on calories if you're going to make a mistake, or your steps will be a little bit over if we're in a cut phase. Or if we're trying to grow a little bit, maybe you'll err in the phase of just a little bit more protein than what's scheduled. But your mistakes are always in the direction of the phase that we're trying to do. So you're not like working against me while I'm trying to grow.
Right.
And you're like adding in all this extra cardio and so that's really awesome. So thank you for that. And you trust the damn plan, you know? You just do it. That's
I
so
have
helpful.
total confidence in you, so.
That helps a lot. And there's a lot of awesome coaches out there. And if you don't follow the plan, it doesn't matter how good at coaching they are, you're not going to see the results because they don't know what to adjust.
Right.
So basically they're laying out a list of things for you to do, and then they see what the results are, and then they adjust from there. So if you're not doing the plan, then there's nothing they can really do.
Yeah, exactly. How do you know?
Okay, so you have transformed your physique. You look incredible.
Thank you.
And you've also developed a healthy relationship with food, which is a tough thing to do.
Yes.
That's awesome. I regularly talk to people who mention you and your transformation. So you're inspiring people, which is awesome. And you're a role model for handling, for sure. That's super cool. What impact have you noticed on like this change? What has that impacted in your life?
So, I mean, outside of like what you can see, I really feel like taking care of myself and like putting myself first as far as like my health goes has done like I can't even exponential numbers to my confidence. Like, so I feel like since I'm more confident, I've grown so much more like mentally too. Like things that a few years ago that have like, happened or been said to me or whatever, like I really feel like it doesn't bother me as much anymore. Like I'm just like, whatever, like I'm mentally stronger too. Like it's more than just here, it's also here.
Yeah.
So
self-confidence, in my opinion, is built through showing up for yourself. So like the more commitments you make to yourself, the more confident you're going to be in what you say. Like if I say I'm going to get up at 5, I get up at 5. The more times I do that, the more I believe it.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
huge.
yeah. So what has changed in your relationship with Hanley since you've started your fitness journey?
So definitely, I feel like it goes without saying, like my energy.
Yeah.
Actually, this past summer we were at the park, and we're like running around playing, and my daughter has amazing upper body strength. I would love to have the upper body strength that she has. She's phenomenal on like the monkey bars. It's crazy.
Nice.
But anyways, as we were playing, like, like there's other parents and they're like sitting down, they're just kind of like on their phone and stuff. And my daughter said something to me like, why don't those parents like play with their kids? And I was like, I don't know, let's go over here and like do this, I didn't really want to go there with that.
Yeah.
And then once we got in the car, she's like, Mom, like, thank you for, playing with me. Like
That is cool.
That meant a lot to me. So, I have like a pair of dumbbells at home, and she's always like picking those up, and she'll like do a couple reps, and then she'll be like, Mom, look at how strong I am. Feel my muscles. Nice. I'm like, wow, you are so strong. Like, that's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I think that one day she'll probably end up being a gym rat.
That's good.
Pretty sure.
Like mama, like daughter. That's
yes.
good stuff.
Yes, which makes me happy because it's good for you,
Definitely. Mm-hmm. So I can notice the way you carry yourself has just changed. Mm-hmm. You walk around like you're confident,
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome to see from the outside.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about gym culture and etiquette. This is something that I added in late last night because I had some things I wanted to talk about. So as a whole, I think gym culture is improving towards being more accepting and more mainstream. Mm-hmm. It used to be like this small group of people that was like, it was like a cult. And like, if you weren't like all about it, you were just kind of one of those weirdos.
Yeah.
Like, look at that new guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now it's more like, yo, that's awesome. Let me help you with that bench press. Like, let me show you how to do that better.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't any issues. Mm-hmm. So as a woman at the gym, what are some things that you face? Like, what are some issues that come up? You know what? I before I ask that question, I'll ask this one. So, what advice do you have for men in general to allow women to feel more comfortable and be like welcomed?
I really feel like I can always tell like if like a guy just kind of doesn't take you seriously. I remember when I first started working out at Powerhouse, there was this guy I was trying to get on. I think it was a hip abduction machine or something. And which people like this aren't really normally at Powerhouse, but he was like I don't think that you would be able to like do this. I forget exactly how he said it, but it was like very, very rude. So just like, I don't know, just be accepting, and also like don't stare too long either. Like that's also kind of weird. No female likes that. It kind of makes you uncomfortable, especially because, we're sweating and doing our thing, so.
Right. Yeah, I think separating the gym from a nightclub is like the mentality.
Yes.
You're there to work out.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah. So, do you think there are other women in the gym that you're able to connect with that like you can find support in?
I really stick to myself, but honestly, from like an outside perspective, I think that Shelby's phenomenal. Ariel, I've seen her in there and had conversations with her and stuff. So like those people, like if I see them in the gym, like I'll kind of be like, what's up, stuff like that. But they're awesome girls. So.
Yeah. So something that I have for my future like vision of my business is I want to start doing some kind of like team events, just so everybody can kind of get to know each other.
Yeah.
To kind of build a culture, because I have a lot of people at a lot of different gyms, and if they would recognize each other, then maybe like some client X is squatting and client Y sees it, they can just run over there and help real quick. Or not that I'm asking my clients to train other clients. I'm just saying that like having a community would be super cool.
Yeah. So when I seen Ariel there, we were like having a conversation the one day, and we were doing squats, and I was actually like telling her like, I don't know, like sometimes like squats like intimidate me. That's probably the workout that intimidates me the most, because I'm afraid of like hurting myself. I feel like that's pretty standard with squats.
Yeah.
But like she kind of like pep talked me a little bit. So I see what you're saying, because if we run into like a fellow, strategic aesthetic, member, it would be nice to just be like, hey, here's some advice or some motivation, or I don't know. I think that would be nice.
Or like, having
because I do stick to myself a lot.
New clients on the team, like feel welcomed by people who've maybe been coached through it more. Like maybe they know what my expectations are, Shelby's expectations are. But I think having a community is pretty important.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the future.
Okay.
So basically, in the future, from my perspective, I want to keep on building what we want to build and keep shrinking what we want to shrink in the matter of phases.
Yeah.
But we're at a point where we could reach like a maintenance phase, right? And you could just kind of stay there. But I think that's pretty boring. So I think we'll keep, we'll add some glutes, we'll add some delts, we'll add a little bit of lats. We'll keep working on that in a matter of phases.
Sounds like a plan to me.
But the overall plan for me is I want to keep teaching you more about the process and why we're doing what we're doing. Because I feel like the more you know about it, the more you buy in to it.
Yeah, it makes me give a shit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what goals do you have for yourself in the future? Do you have anything specific?
I just want to keep improving my physique, because I feel like there's always room to improve. So I'm like right on board. Like a maintenance phase sounds kind of
right. Yeah, right.
And just be healthy. And I don't know, I've kind of like entertained the thought of maybe competing one day.
I was gonna ask that.
So maybe we'll see.
So I think in the springtime, I'm going to give you a heads up on a couple shows that are local.
Okay.
And then I'm going to make it mandatory for your ass to be there.
Okay.
So,
Sounds like a plan.
So you can go check it out, see what it's all about. Because I honestly think that once you see it, you might be a little more interested.
Okay.
But once we gain that interest, then I'll be able to tell you about all the negative things that comes with prep. But I'm not going to tell you those till you get excited.
Yeah.
So,
don't kick me before I'm even excited yet.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So for single parents, what words of encouragement or advice, or just parents in general, what do you have for them that would help them on a fitness journey if they're already on one, or to encourage them to get started?
I really feel like, again, you got to really sit down and figure out that reason why, because it is going to be the driving force in your journey. Like, it'll keep everything like in perspective. You're going to have shit that comes up. Your kids are going to get sick, kid or kids. Like, things are going to happen. But how you bounce back after that is what's going to make the difference. And then also controlling what you can in that situation. So, like, if they're sick, okay, well, shit, I can't go to the gym and lift, but I can make sure I eat, because now I'm at home and now there's no excuse for me not to hit my macros this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like just remember like your why, and your kids are also watching everything that you're doing, and they're going to respect that when they're older. You know what I mean? Like, and it instills that in them whether or not you realize that.
Definitely.
They're picking up on what you're doing.
They're learning from you. You're setting the example.
And I really feel like, I mean, even just like outside of being a parent, I just want to say that I feel like everybody is like worthy of like loving yourself enough to take care of yourself inside and out. Like, we're all worthy of that. And being in the gym and like working out and stuff, it's going to teach you a whole nother level of self-love and discipline that you cannot get anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think that is part of what makes me love the gym so much, outside of like, the physical, like the amount of like discipline that I have compared to beforehand, and the amount of self-love. I would have never had that had it
Yeah.
not been for, you and the gym and
Something I
fitness.
missed earlier that I want to add now is I think that you train from a place of positivity and self-care, and not out of hatred for the way you look or any kind of negativity.
Right.
Something that we've talked about a lot was like prioritizing yourself. Remember that like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you
can't.
really took that to heart, and when you're training, it's from a place of positivity. From my end, that's what I see, and I think that's why we're 2 years into this and why you're still seeing progress, because that negative energy can only last for so long, and training and dieting, not necessarily dieting, right? Eating right is from a place of self-love. It is. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So.
I definitely agree with that. And then to add into what we were saying for like busy parents and stuff like that, or even just being busy in general, like that is obviously like so stressful, so when you hit the gym and you're like doing your workout, like for me, that is a time to like zone out and like turn all that off.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what rep am I on? How many reps do I have to do? What's my tempo? Looking in the mirror, like how's my form? You know what I mean? I'm very present.
Yeah.
And everything
You're
else
mindful
just
there.
kind of goes away. So having that escape for a little bit really helps me. So after my workout's done, I'm like, okay, well, what I was super stressed off or pissed off about earlier is like not a big deal. Like I don't even care anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I
had
mean?
that time to break.
Yeah, it's so that is something that is another positive of working out. It's going to help you like reset your mind after
I
the
swear
workout
training is meditation in motion.
too. It really is.
Yeah.
That is a great way to put it.
It's
Because
I've done like mindfulness sessions where you're feeling your toes, and then you work your way up your body, and like I swear I do the same thing with like lat pull downs. I want to feel like every fiber in my lat as I squeeze it, and like so help me God if you have a question in the middle of my set, like what do you want?
what could possibly be so important right now? You need to bother me.
I am squeezing my lat right now. I am fully busy.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Shanna.
thank you.
Thank you for listening, everybody. That was episode 13 of Beyond the Physique podcast, using parenthood as a catalyst for change, not as an excuse. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Physique podcast. If you enjoyed this and would like to hear more like it, be sure to subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram at Trevor W Training, on YouTube at Strategic Aesthetics, on Facebook, Trevor Woodyard, and you can also apply for coaching at strategicaesthetics.com.